You know, hide and seek. It's a game pretty much every single one of us has played, right? That feeling of finding the perfect hiding spot, your heart pounding in your chest as you hear the seeker getting closer. Such a core childhood memory. But what if, for some people, that innocent game turned into something else, something terrifying? What if the goal wasn't just to stay hidden, but to survive?
I mean, the rules couldn't be simpler. One person is it, they cover their eyes, count to 100, whatever, and everyone else just scatters. You find a spot, you try to make yourself small, you hold your breath. It's a simple test of stealth and patience that we've all known forever. And that right there is the heart of what we're digging into. We're looking at 3 true stories where those simple, familiar rules got completely shattered by an uninvited player. When you realize the game you thought you were playing isn't the real game at all.
Okay, so let's open our first case file. It starts in a place that's already a little bit spooky, a dark, empty house. But what happens inside is, well, it's a truly chilling discovery.
So picture this. 2 friends, they're about 15, home alone. They decide to play a game of hide and seek just to kill some time. Our narrator is it, and after searching everywhere, he finally finds his friend Chris hiding down in the basement. So far, so good. Everything seems totally normal. And this is where that first little crack in reality starts to show. Chris gets found, and he says, "Hey, I heard someone moving around upstairs while I was hiding down here. Figured it had to be you looking for me." A totally logical assumption, right?
Well, here's the problem. Our narrator hadn't been moving around. He was upstairs, hidden, and completely silent, trying not to get caught. So if he was still, and Chris was in the basement.
That's the question, isn't it? It hangs over everything. If both boys can account for where they were and what they were doing, who was the third person in the house with them? Who was making all that noise?
After they stop playing, the sounds become impossible to ignore, and they escalate, fast. First, it's a loud bump from upstairs. Okay, maybe the house is settling. But then, a slow, dragging sound from behind a door they know leads to an empty room. Then, the front door just opens and closes, all by itself. And finally, footsteps moving around on the first floor. It becomes terrifyingly clear someone else is moving through the house with them.
The boys, completely freaked out, run from the house and call the police. The cops show up, they do a full search, and they find zip. Nada. Nothing. No broken windows, no unlocked doors, absolutely no sign of an intruder. The official explanation? Settling noises, overactive imaginations. But those 2 knew, for a fact, they were not alone in that house.
All right, let's move on to our second case. We're going to shift from the claustrophobia of a house to something much bigger, much darker. The woods at night, where the shadows can hide a lot more than just your friends.
So this time, the game is happening at night, in a neighborhood that backs right up against this huge, sprawling forest. And the person telling the story uses this perfect phrase. He says the woods swallowed up the light. I mean, that just immediately sets this incredibly eerie mood, doesn't it?
And just like in our first story, it all starts with a sound that just doesn't belong. Our narrator, twice, hears these heavy footsteps crunching in the leaves nearby. But every time, he checks with his friends, and nobody was over there. The math just doesn't add up. There are too many footsteps for the number of kids playing.
And this is the moment that sends a shiver down your spine. The game ends, everyone's laughing and catching their breath, and the youngest kid in the group, Matt, just casually asks, "Hey, did anyone else see the man?" And just like that, all the laughter stops. Dead silence.
Matt goes on to explain exactly what he saw. A tall man, standing stock still among the trees, just watching them. Not moving, not saying anything, just watching them play their game. Suddenly, those extra footsteps have a face, and the feeling of being watched becomes a terrifying reality. They weren't just playing with each other out there.
Our final case file takes the threat to a whole new level. Because this time, the extra player isn't just a sound, or a distant figure in the trees. This time, he walks right out of the woods, introduces himself, and asks if he can join the game.
So this kid, who calls himself Keith, just appears. He's older than the rest of the group, and there's just something off about him. But here's the biggest red flag. He looks around the narrator's private property and says it's a perfect spot for manhunt, which is kind of like hide-and-seek tag. How on earth would a total stranger know the layout of his backyard so well?
And just look at how this unfolds. Keith plays for a few hours, and then poof, he just vanishes mid-game. But he's not really gone. That night at 11 p.m., the narrator hears footsteps right outside his bedroom door. Then at 2 in the morning, a figure is physically at his second-story window, scratching at the glass. The game followed him home.
This gets so real, so dangerous, that the narrator's father has to grab a shotgun, run outside, and fire it into the air just to scare this person away, screaming at them to never come back. This isn't a ghost story anymore. This is a terrifying home invasion that all started with a simple childhood game.
So, after hearing all that, what's the big takeaway? All three of these chilling stories, they all start so innocently, but they all end with the exact same horrifying realization.
And it really boils down to this one terrifying switch. The whole point of the game is you're hiding from people you know, from your friends. The reality in these stories? You suddenly realize you're hiding from a total stranger. That safe, fun fear of being caught by your buddy is replaced by the genuine, absolute terror of being hunted by someone you don't know, with intentions you can't possibly guess. This line from one of the stories just says it all perfectly. The same darkness that makes the game exciting and fun is the exact same darkness that can hide a very real threat. It's a chilling reminder that you're kind of putting all your faith in the idea that everyone out there playing is someone you actually know.
And that kind of leaves us with this one last unsettling thought. Hide and seek is all based on an honor system, right? But what happens when someone you can't see, someone you don't even know is in the game, decides to play by their own rules? It really makes you wonder. Who else is out there, just waiting for the game to start?